Hi, my name is Camille Viveras. I'm the coordinator of the George Wiley Center. And I wanted to thank the brother that just spoke and actually put for your consideration a modest proposal that any future rate increases that National Grid or those bringing forth those proposed rate increases be required to send out notice to these meetings. We're trying to be a democratic force here where our taxpayers are paid to staff the Division of Public Utilities and the Public Utilities Commission, but often we are not weighing in the full capacity that we have by leveraging the capital of these supposed partners, right? Corporate agencies. Many people talk about private-public partnerships. It's long overdue that we really lean on that, right? Because we know there's a lot of skepticism about corporate corruption, right? And I think one way that we can build a little bit more faith that there's at least a fragment of democracy and transparency is by mandating that. I also wanted to thank the Center for Justice for their coordination with us and articulating our legal position on the settlement. But I think it is important to just cover some of our moral and our long-term position on this. From the very beginning, we made it clear that we would oppose any rate increase that didn't we oppose any even consideration of a rate increase without support for a percentage income payment plan. We've been in communication with the COO of National Grid and with different stakeholders around this plan that's been on the books. You know, it's something we've already tried in this state. We were proud to be one of the first in the country to have a percentage income payment plan. So, you know, it's hard for us to take seriously the critique of the administrative burden when this plan was in place over 20 years ago when people were using index cards to keep it in place. And I myself have met employees of National Grid at the time, its predecessor, who were part of that system. And we have members at the George Wiley Center who actually benefited from that program. You know, we have employees at National Grid. Some of them recently retired. I'd be happy to introduce you to them, Rob, who speak on that about the benefits of that program. So I am rather astonished, and I don't find it very credible, this idea that we can't administrate a program that much of the data for already exists through cap agencies, and the legislation allows for 10% to go toward administrative costs. So I think that's one of the problems in this society right now is when we constantly hear no about our capacity for programs that benefit ordinary people, but yet the perception and the reality is often much more friendly toward corporations and helping the bottom line of corporate profits to grow and grow and grow to obscene proportions. So I just want to make it very clear that from the George Wiley Center's perspective, from our moral position, we absolutely don't settle for this, okay? And we will not settle for this until the priorities are shifted. Every agency, every political office in the state of Rhode Island is shifted to prioritize and care about each member of the George Wiley Center that comes in that's shut off. Many who could have been told by National Grid about their rights. Just last week, I talked to 3 people who had medical conditions, mentioned them to National Grid on the phone, and despite a consent decree that was supposed to mandate customer services to vulnerable customers, it was supposed to put a chain reaction when you mentioned your medical condition, where National Grid would tell you, well, you have time to go to your doctor and have these medical forms that were issued because we had to sue them. That is not happening. We've made requests to have quarterly meetings to improve customer service. Those have been ignored in the race to push this rate increase through. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we do certainly want to collaborate with anyone that's willing to improve conditions for our members, and any entity. It's a long transition to a nonprofit power situation here in Rhode Island, but we know that we need that. Some folks really celebrate non-regulated suppliers, and the division has a great comparative on their website, but we know really, as long as somebody's trying to make money off of low-income consumers, there's something that doesn't smell right. There's something wrong with that equation. And we look to the commissioners, we look to the division to try to equalize that and to meet with members of the George Wiley Center. I do appreciate a couple weeks ago we brought 3 folks that had been shut off. And the administrator did say, let's resolve this, but we need to open our doors to each other, listen to each other, and not pat ourselves on the back until we can say that no one in the state of Rhode Island is being shut off unjustly because of their income